Welcome to Mindful Monday here on Martin Luther King Day. So in honor of that, I thought we would do an Ahimsa practice today. Ahimsa is a Sanskrit word that describes the commitment to nonviolence. And it's also sometimes talked about as loving kindness, which of course goes hand in hand with the commitment to nonviolence. And they talk about Ahimsa in a very broad way, so that the commitment to nonviolence not only applies to others, but applies to ourselves. And when we think about nonviolence toward ourselves, that encompasses negative self-talk, that encompasses, behaviors that don't support our highest well-being. So this ahimsa applies from us to the outside world and also toward the self. The mudra or hand position that is often used in an ahimsa practice is the lotus hand pose. And so you take your hands, you can be in a comfortable seat to start, and you take your hands and place the thumbs and pinkies and the base of the palms together, and then the fingers spread wide. So instead of a prayer position, today I'll invite you to use the lotus position if you like. And the idea of the lotus mudra is that it symbolizes the lotus flower in its purity and simplicity, floating above the murky, muddy water in which it grows. And the murky, muddy water can be thought of as fear, attachment, and other sort of not so pure ways of being that are there, but we hope to be the lotus floating above those murky things as often as possible. There's also a mantra that is in Sanskrit, and the translation is, I think, quite beautiful. So the Sanskrit is Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. And the translation is, may all beings in all realms experience the feeling state of ease. And so from that state of ease, we are able to commit to nonviolence. We are not propelled toward negative behaviors and thoughts. So just committing to a sense of ease and loving kindness as we practice today. So taking the lotus mudra with the hands, pinkies touch, thumbs touch, eyes closed, fingers spread wide. And the thumbs can fall just in front of the chest in whatever easy way the arms and shoulders want to settle. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Let's take two more this way. Inhale, big breath through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. And one more. Releasing the hand position, bringing the palms to the knees, the eyes can open. We'll begin to cat-cow in our seated position. Drawing the chest forward, we inhale, lift the chest and the gaze. Exhale, round the spine, tuck the chin, and move back and forth at your own pace, matching the breath to the movement. Inhaling as the chest pulls forward, and exhaling as you round the spine. Let's go for two more rounds. And then find a nice tall spine reaching through the crown of the head. Reach your arms up, biceps by the ears, active in the fingers. Take a big breath in. And exhale, twist to the right. Right hand behind you, left hand on the knee. Anchor through both hips so your foundation is sturdy. Twist from the belly mid back, and then upper back. And then maybe look over the shoulder. One more breath. Gently release back to center, reach the arms up, active in the hands. Big breath, lengthen the sides of the body, pull the belly in, and exhale, twist the other way. Anchor through the hips, belly, mid back, upper back twists, maybe look over the shoulder. Nice deep breath in, and a full exhale. Gently release back to center. One more time, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold forward over the legs. So you could just take fingertips out in front of you if you like, or maybe come down to forearms and bow the head. From your forward folded position, make your way to hands and knees. Take your time. Spread the fingers wide, knees under hips. And we'll just stretch the arches of the feet a little bit. Intense toe stretch. Tuck your toes underneath. Maybe reach back. Make sure the pinkies are also tucked under. It'll be more intense if you bring your big toes touching, a little less intense if you take them a little farther apart. And you can just decide how much you want to feel this. Press the hands into the floor and shift the hips back toward the heels. This might be enough for you today. Or maybe you stack the shoulders over the feet. You could always use a block under the seat on top of the heels to make it a little less intense. This can be quite uncomfortable, as the name suggests, intense toe stretch, but it should never be painful. So we can apply Ahimsa, nonviolence, toward ourselves on the yoga mat. We should never be working in a place where we're causing ourselves harm. So if you experience pain, that's your indicator to just come out of the pose a little bit. Discomfort is something we can learn to find ease within. Pain is our signal that we need to care for ourselves. Take one more breath wherever you've chosen, and exhale, release. Kneading on hands and knees, tap out the feet. And when you're ready, begin to make your way to downward facing dog. Make it a slow transition, very intentional. And once you arrive, bend one knee and lengthen the opposite leg. And then switch, bend the other knee and lengthen the opposite leg. And then send both heels toward the mat. Shift your upper thighs back toward the wall behind you. Press into your thumb and index finger, and then use all 10 fingers to claw the mat. Release the tension in the neck. Let the gaze fall between the feet. Take a deep breath in and a full exhale. Inhale, shift forward to the top of a push-up. If you'd like to use your knees on your way down, just bring them to the mat. Otherwise, chaturanga, bend the elbows all the way to the belly. Squeeze the elbows in, lift the chest, small cobra. Make sure the thumb and index finger remain rooted to the mat. Broaden the shoulders, press into the feet. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, release all the way down and make your way to a child's pose. Shift forward, find your tabletop position, And again, make a slow transition to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Send the upper thighs back toward the wall behind you. Maybe this helps to sink the heels toward the mat. Take a full breath in and a full exhale. Inhale, shift forward to the top of a push-up. Lower your way all the way to the mat. Inhale to cobra, any height this time. You could stay low or come up a little higher. Exhale, release, and find child's pose. Committing to Ahimsa, to loving kindness, to the absence of violence toward the self is the first step in committing to those things to the outside world. Shift forward to the top of the table and make your way to downward facing dog. Last time. Shift forward to a plank pose. Use the knees if you like. Bend the elbows. Inhale to cobra, any height. Exhale, release, child's pose. Tabletop position when you're ready. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, and we'll just begin to walk forward. So bend one knee and then the other. Little steps carry you to the top of the mat. Bend the knees, release, relax, forward fold, head is heavy. Grab opposite elbows. Release the elbows. Bring your fingertips to the mat and inhale, lift the chest. Rock the weight forward gently, lengthen the spine. Pull the belly in. Exhale, fold over the legs. One more time. Put a bend in the knees. Inhale, sweep all the way to the top. Palms touch overhead. Exhale, hands to lotus. Thumbs touch, pinkies touch, fingers are open. Release your hands down by your sides. We're going to roll down, roll up. So what we're doing is just hydrating and lengthening the superficial back line of connective tissue. Draw your chin to your chest. Draw your shoulders inward till you have a rounded upper back. Inhale deeply into the upper back. Exhale and come down a little further until there's a bit of a roundness to the middle back. Inhale deeply to the middle back. Exhale, come down until you feel a roundness in the lower back. Little micro bend in the knees. Inhale into the low back. And exhale, come into your forward fold, releasing the weight of the head. Inhale now from the arch of the feet, up the back of the legs, through the whole back of the body. And exhale, find your deepest release. Bend your knees. We'll roll up nice and slow. Pull the belly in and allow the vertebra to stack one on top of the next, breathing deeply and rhythmically as you come up. Stand at the top of the mat, arms by your sides. Take your hands to prayer, whole hands touching. Send your fingertips out in front of you and take your right arm around behind you. Keep your right hip facing the front of the mat. Maybe look back at your right thumb. Even out the weight in your feet. So weight in the ball of the foot, weight in the heel evenly. Unwind from the twist, come back to center. Keeping both hips face forward, reach the left arm back. Turn and look back at your left thumb. And release, come back to center. Hands to prayer. I'm going to take a fierce pigeon pose, so a standing pigeon pose, little stretch for the hip. Left foot takes the weight, right ankle over your left knee. Activate the whole foot, spread the toes. Bring your hands to prayer to start and sink the hips. And then once you find your balancing pose, open the fingers, pinkies and thumbs touch, lotus hands. Draw your left hip back, lengthen the spine. Press and release. Other side, right foot takes the weight, left ankle over right knee, active in the foot, hands at prayer, sink your hips low, bend your standing leg, and then find your lotus hands. Press into the standing foot and release the shape. Bring your arms out, shoulder height, shoulder width. Press into the balls of the feet and lift the heels, tiptoes. Pull the belly in, eyes in one spot. Really active in the feet. Lift the heels a little higher. Lower the heels to the mat with control. Hands to prayer, sink the hips, bend the knees. Inhale, lift the elbows, and exhale, twist. Left elbow outside of your right knee. Left hip draws back. Lengthen the spine. Breathe here. Inhale back to center, keep the hips low. Exhale, twist the other way, right elbow, left knee. Inhale back to center and exhale. Straighten the legs, bow over the legs. Put a bend in the knees, root down through the feet. Inhale, big sweep to the top, palms touch. Maybe a little back bend here. Exhale, hands to prayer. Open the fingers, lotus hands. Release the hands down and turn sideways on your mat. Wide legs. Turn your toes in gently, heels out. Micro bend in the knees, reach the arms out to the side like a T, palms face the floor. Take a long breath in through the crown. Reach the crown high toward the ceiling. And exhale, halfway fold. Activate the inner thighs by isometrically pulling the feet toward each other. Big breath. And exhale, fold. Hands can come to the thighs, calves, or ankles, or even the floor. Allow the sits bones to spread and lift. Release the head. Inhale, lift halfway, bring your fingertips out on the floor in front of you. It could be a block as well. Use fingertips or block or palm. Left hand at 12 o'clock, right arm reaches up, left hip draws back. Lengthen the spine, reach through the crown of the head. Big breath in. As you exhale, unwind the spine and switch hands. Right hand at 12 o'clock, left hand reaching high, right hip draws back. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Lengthen the tail back. Unwind. Activate the inner thighs, reach the arms out to the side like a T, and hinge up to stand. Use your core strength. Release the arms to your sides, and step to the top of the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift the spine. Exhale, hands to the mat, right foot steps back. Right knee lowers to the mat. Inhale, arms reach high, hips sink low. One more breath here. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Lift your back knee, step forward and fold. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to bow. Bend the knees, root down to rise up. Inhale. Exhale, swan dive over the legs. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, left foot steps back. Release the left knee down. Inhale, arms reach high, hips sink forward and down. Broaden the shoulders, active in the hands. One more breath. Take your hands to the mat, lift your back knee, step forward and fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, bow deep. Bend the knees. Inhale, sweep all the way up. Exhale, dive over the legs. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, right foot steps back. Inhale to airplane wings. Exhale, arms reach forward, shoulders directly over hips. Inhale, arms reach overhead. Exhale, deepen the pose. Belly pulls in. Big breath. Exhale, hands to the mat. Right foot steps forward and fold. Inhale, long spine, flat back. Exhale, fold over the legs. Bend the knees. Inhale, reach up, palms touch. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to the mat, left foot steps back. Back heel is high. Inhale, airplane wings. Exhale, arms forward, shoulders in the sockets. Inhale, arms reach high. Exhale, settle in. One more breath. Exhale, hands to the mat. Step forward and fold. Inhale to half lift. Exhale to bow deep. Soften the knees, root down to rise. Inhale. Exhale, hands to prayer, lotus fingers. Each time we arrive in the lotus mudra, just making a commitment to be the lotus, to be the peace, the simplicity, the purity that floats above the mud. Release your hands down to your sides, and again, turn sideways on your mat. Nice forefoot stance, nice wide legs. Turn your left toes back to the top of the mat. And then we're going to turn the right foot in at a little bit of an angle to find the warrior one position. Both hips face forward. Draw your left hip back, right hip will automatically draw forward. There's a bend in your left knee. Anchor through both feet. If this bothers your right knee, just lift your back heel a little bit. If it's okay, then actually send weight into the heel to feel more anchored. Take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Draw the shoulder blades together, broaden the chest, send the gaze up. Exhale, humble warrior, come forward. You're fine to just bring the torso about in line with the thigh. If you want to go deeper, bring the torso on the inside of the left thigh and bow in a little more. Let the gaze fall on the floor or maybe toward your right foot. Slowly lift the torso, release the hands, take them up overhead, palms glued together, and find your lotus hands over the top of the head. Open the fingers. Release the arms down to the sides, straighten your front leg, turn back to the side of the mat, and we'll just flip to the opposite side. Right toes point to the end of the mat. Turn your left foot in at a little bit of an angle. Hands to hips, draw the right hip back, bend into your front knee. Anchor through your back heel if it meets the mat. Take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers. Shoulders draw together, open the chest, lift the gaze. Exhale, slowly come forward and decide where you want to stay. So maybe just kind of hovering with the right thigh, or you can make a little space and take your torso on the inside of the right thigh. Humble warrior. Slowly come up. Take the arms overhead, square your hips, commit to the legs, and then find your lotus mudra above the crown of the head. Pull the belly in. Release the hands. Straighten your right leg. Turn your toes back to the long edge of the mat. Flipping over again, just switching back to the left leg. This time we're going to take the back heel high. So turn your hips to face the short end of the mat and lift your back heel. Take your hands into your lotus at the center of your chest. Pour the weight forward onto your left leg and lift your right leg off the mat. So warrior three with our lotus mudra at the heart. Press your pinky and thumb together. Activate your right foot. Toes point straight down at the mat. There can be a bend in your left leg. Slowly step your right toes back to the mat. Release your hand position and straighten your left leg. Turn back to the long edge of the mat and just flip the posture to the right leg. So now your right foot is pointing straight ahead. Lift your left heel, square your hips, hands to the lotus mudra, pouring the weight onto the right foot. Lift your left leg, broaden your shoulders, really press those pinkies and thumbs together, letting the lotus be open in the middle. Open at the center. Step your left toes to the mat, release the arms, and turn back to face the long edge of the mat. Again, flipping toward the left toes. This time we're going to come into warrior two. So keep your back foot parallel to the back of the mat, and you can adjust your stance. You probably have to widen the stance a little bit until you find your warrior two shape. So open hips, knee in the front is open toward the pinky edge of your left foot, and we'll take the arms out in opposite directions. Pull the belly in, lengthen the neck, gaze at your left middle finger. Notice if you're working anywhere where you don't need to be working. Giving yourself a little loving kindness here. If you're working the muscles in the face, maybe just smile. That softens and releases all of those little muscles in the face. Peaceful warrior. Left palm faces the ceiling. Right hand comes to the back thigh. Reach forward so that the weight shifts a little more into your left heel, and then reach the fingertips straight up toward the ceiling. Now shift your gaze toward your back foot and maybe reach back more. Continue to pour weight into the heel as the torso reaches back. So the side bend, peaceful warrior, fantastic shape for the Ahimsa practice. Come back, warrior two. Straighten your left leg. Turn your toes back to the long edge of the mat and just flip the pose, right toes pointing toward the short end. The left foot is parallel to the back of the mat. Sink the hips. Knee opens up to the pinky edge. Draw the belly in. Reach in opposite directions. Spread the fingers. Knee is always over the ankle in the front, never in front of it. Flip your front palm. Gently reach your fingertips forward, but you can see the knee stays put. I'm just kind of deepening the hip crease in the right here. So the right heel gets a little more weight. Left hand to your back thigh, right fingertips reach up, and then shift your gaze down to your back foot. Weight in the right heel, reach back with the fingertips. Release, warrior two. Straighten your front leg, turn your toes back to face the long edge of the mat. And while we're here, we'll take a goddess or sumo pose. So just lift your heels and send them in so that the toes now point out. Hands to hips, sink the hips low, and make sure your knees track out in the same direction that the toes are facing. In other words, sometimes when we want to sink the hips, the knees will want to collapse inward. So you could even use the hands as you sink the hips so that the knees are tracking out toward the toes. Take your arms in the shape of a cactus, spread your fingers wide. Breathe here. Press into the feet to straighten the legs, release the arms, and step to the top of the mat. Last standing pose, dancer. Left arm up, right arm out like you're holding a tray. Left foot takes the weight, bend the right knee. Reach back for the inside edge of the foot. Stay here working on your balance, or when you're ready, press the foot into the hand and allow the body to tip with the pressure of the hand and foot. Release, stand, and prepare for the other side. Right arm up, left arm out like you're holding a tray. Right leg takes the weight, left knee bends. Take the inside edge of the foot, thighs draw close together, stay here, or press into the pose. Release, stand. wider than the hips. Arms hang heavy by your sides, and just begin to gently swing the arms. Ganesh Asana. This pose allows us a moment to just let whatever we're holding in the shoulders drip down the arms and off the fingertips. Many times we struggle with the commitment to non-harming ourselves, whether it's through negative thoughts or negative behaviors. We sometimes struggle with loving kindness toward others if we feel wronged. So in this pose, in this movement, just allow those instances of self-harm or harm to another to release and drip off the fingertips. Slowly come to stillness. Feet under hips. Inhale, big sweep up, maybe a little back bend when the palms touch. Exhale, dive over the legs. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, hands to the mat. Walk your feet back, find your downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward to the top of a push-up. Exhale, lower all the way to the mat. Inhale, lift to cobra. Exhale to child's pose. Make your way through hands and knees to downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward to the top of a push-up. Lower your way. Inhale to cobra. Exhale to child's pose. Make your way to hands and knees, downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward to plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, release. Stay on your belly. Bring your arms long by your sides and rest on your cheek, looking over your right shoulder. Your big toes touch and heels are soft and open. Come to your chin. We're going to come into a ridge top cobra here. Take your arms in the shape of a cactus. Lift the elbows. Come to your fingertips and lift your chest. Activate into the legs. You're pressing so much into the top of the feet that the knees are hovering above the mat. Use the strength in the hands. This is a great hand strengthener. Press into your tent fingers. Broaden the shoulders and gently melt the chest forward. It's a back bend in the upper portion of the thoracic spine. And release. Look over the opposite shoulder, arms long by the sides. Come back to center, 2 sets of bow pulling pose. Bring your feet into your seat. Reach back for the outside edges of your feet. Feel free to take just one foot and extend the opposite arm and leg. If you have both feet, draw the thighs close together. Good grip on the feet or ankles. Press the thighs toward the floor and the feet into the hands. No strain in the neck. So maybe think about lengthening the neck instead of lifting the chin. If it feels okay to lift the chin, you certainly can. But maybe you just lengthen the neck, pressing the feet back. And release. Take rest on your belly, look over your shoulder, and breathe. Come back to center. Second set, bend your knees, reach back for your feet. Take the opposite foot if you're taking one foot at a time. Good grip on the feet, thighs together. Press the pelvis down, press the thighs down, press the feet back into the hands. And release. Take rest, opposite cheek. Come back to center, bring your hands under your shoulders and press to tabletop, hands and knees. From hands and knees, let your hips sink back toward your heels. Take your arms overhead, press your palms together. Reach up to lengthen the sides of the body, pull the belly in, and we'll hinge from the hips. Keep a nice strong core, try to keep a flat back. Move slowly. The pinkies will touch the mat first, and then slide forward and let your hips sink back toward your heels. Your forehead may not touch the mat, and that's okay. Keep length in the sides of the body. And we'll come up just as we went in. So start to engage your belly. Start to think about using the sides of the body to keep as flat a back as possible. And hinge up, reach up. Exhale, float the arms down. Take your hips over to one side and let your legs come around in front of you. With legs out in front of you, we'll take an L-shaped seat. Walk your hips back just a little bit. If you need to support your hips with a folded blanket, sometimes that will lift the pelvis just enough that you can find more of a hinge rather than a rounding forward. Flex and spread the toes. Take your arms up and commit to the L-shaped seat. This is an oddly effective treatment for plantar fasciitis. If you know anybody who is struggling with that, this pose done daily seems to really affect that condition. And it's harder than it seems like it should be, right? Belly pulling in, nice long spine, active feet, like you're standing on the floor, but the feet are actually just active like they're standing. Release the arms down by your sides and scoot your seat forward, bend your knees. Take a slow roll onto your back. When you get there, walk the feet back for bridge pose. Arms long by your sides. Maybe your middle fingers can graze the back of your heels. When you look down the side of the body, make sure you can't see your own calf. If you can, just wiggle the feet in a little bit. They should be hiding behind your upper legs. When you're ready, begin to press into the feet, activate pubic bone to belly button, and lift the hips off the mat. One shoulder at a time, wiggle the shoulder blades underneath the upper back. Interlace the fingers if it's available and lift to your highest point. Hip points are high, belly is lifted, chest is lifted, chin is lifted. If you feel like you're pressing more into the pinky edge of your feet, see if you can bring a little more weight to the inner edge of the feet. Last breath, highest lift. And exhale, release. Hug your knees in, lengthen the spine. Draw your chin toward the chest just a little bit to make space in the neck. We're going to take some circles with the knees, making a nice big circle in either direction. We'll go both ways. Just rolling around the outside of the flat bone in the lower back, like a little massage. You can hold the legs or move the legs without the help of the hands. Switch directions. Hug your knees in close. Extend your feet up toward the ceiling. We'll end with a little burst of core work here. Inhale, peel your head and shoulders off the mat, reach past the legs. Keep your feet where they are, or lower them about a third of the way toward the mat. The more you lower them, the harder it will be. Lift the gaze a little to release work in the neck and glue your inner thighs toward each other. Keep reaching with the fingertips so the shoulders are off the mat. And then release. Toes point up, shoulders come to the floor, hug your knees. Keep your right thigh hugging in, extend your left leg long on the mat. Spread your toes, make good contact with the right thigh and the right side of the abdomen. Shoulders are on the mat. Extend your right leg up. Interlace your fingers around the back of your right thigh. Feet remain active. Press the whole leg forward and stop the action with your hands. So there's isometric work here. You might even find a little shaking in the leg as you activate forward and the leg stops because the hands are holding it. You're activating some little muscle groups that aren't used to working in this position. You're setting the femur bone in alignment in the hip socket. Bend your knee and find a spinal twist. Let the knee cross the body. Reach your arms out in the shape of a T. Nose can point straight up toward the ceiling, or you can turn your head to the right. Breathe deeply into your belly. Feel your belly expand. And then as you exhale, pull the belly in. Breathe in this way 2 more times. Nice full belly breath. Exhale, pull the belly in and up under the ribs. 1 more. Slowly roll onto your back. Hug both knees in. Keep the left knee in, extend the right leg long. Active in the feet. Contact between left thigh and left side of the abdomen. You're using arm strength here to pull the leg deep into the left side of the belly. Extend your left leg up toward the ceiling. Interlace your fingers behind the left thigh. Feet stay active. Press the whole leg forward until you find that isometric muscle contraction. Shoulders remain on the mat. Head remains on the mat. If your jaw or forehead are feeling strained, soften. Bend your left knee and find your spinal twist. Arms reach out like a T. Full belly breath. Exhale, belly pulls in and under the ribs. 2 more like that. Slowly come onto your back. Hug both knees in. Now, we're just going to sit in meditation for the end of our practice. If you would rather stay on your back with supports and take your moment of breathing and quiet in your lying down position, you certainly can. If you would like to cultivate your seated meditation, that is available too. So you'll just rock up to a comfortable cross-legged seat, taking either an easy cross-legged seat, maybe a half lotus, where you would put one foot on top of the opposite thigh, or if you're working on full lotus, both feet cross at the ankles and sit on top of the thighs. So that's the traditional meditation seat eventually, the full lotus position. And since we're working with the idea of the lotus, that's just an option if you want to try it out. And the half lotus is certainly more available to most. When you decide how you're going to be for the meditation, let the eyes close. And if you're on your back, you can still take Lotus Mudra and just let it rest above your solar plexus. If you are seated, we'll take the Lotus Mudra in front of the heart space, and the eyes are closed. Loka samasta sikino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. May beings in all realms experience the feeling state of ease so that they may attain a commitment to Ahimsa, nonviolence. Notice the breath. Paying full awareness to the inhale, followed by the natural exhale. Hold the lotus hands as long as you like, and then just find complete relaxation. Your only job as your loving kindness toward yourself in this moment is to follow your breath. Follow the inhale through the nose and sinuses into the lungs, and follow your exhale as it leaves through the same path. If your concentration breaks away from the inhale and the exhale, just gently draw it back. Allowing yourself the space to be present, letting all else fall away, just the breath. Guiding yourself back to your breath, just as you would guide a child back to their path with loving kindness. Take a final breath and gently allow the eyes to flutter open. If you are lying down, just gently press to a comfortable seat. Take your time. Hands to prayer. Deep breath in. Exhale, bow your forehead toward your fingertips. Slide your thumbs to the center of the forehead and we'll bow together. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me today. May you carry Ahimsa